Welcome back to Miller's Off-Road. A little bit different episode today. We're going to talk about the best places to ride in Arkansas. We've been to a lot of different places, and we're constantly seeing in the Facebook groups, where's the best place to ride? Where do we stay? What's the sites? What's the best place to go for waterfalls? Which trails? Which place has the best trails? Which place has the smoothest trails? So we're going to talk about all of those things on this episode. We're going to break down the our top six places to ride within the state of Arkansas. And we're going to start with number 6. Before we get into this though, just want to reiterate, these are our personal opinions, our riding style. We ride quads. We don't ride side-by-sides. We don't like roads. We don't like pavement. We like trails, rugged terrain. We like to get lost, right?
We do.
We like rugged trails. We like trails that are going to be a challenge for us. For that reason, we've never went to Wolfpen Gap. So Wolfpen Gap isn't even on the list. We're in northeast Arkansas, and Wolfpen Gap is in southwest Arkansas. So it's just not worth us making the trip down there to ride gravel roads. And that's a lot of the videos that I see. Gravel road riding, we have thousands of miles of gravel road here. So that's why we drive to where we do in Arkansas to ride trails, not gravel roads. We could stay home if we wanted to ride gravel roads. But we like trails, rugged terrain, scenery, waterfalls, all that good stuff. So we'll start with number 6, and we're not going to take very long to cover it because it was terrible. Sylamore District. So Matt didn't go on this one. Me and Josh went on this one. And remember, we trailered in. We stop at a place, unload the bikes, go down our first trail, and there's nothing there. Like it was you remember that, right? So many times we got to he's laughing. So many times we got to the trailhead. We go down the trailhead just a little ways, and purple paint, no trespassing. Remember the gates? There were gates everywhere. There's no trails at Sylamore District. So in the Facebook group, multiple times, we've had guys come in there. Well, we ride around Mountain View. There's lots of good trails there. There are no trails in the Sylamore District. Completely skip it. Don't listen to anyone what they say. Me and Josh wasted a complete. Would you not say that was a wasted day, right?
It was.
It was a totally wasted day. Remember the guy we picked up that was from the Brockcreek area? Remember that?
Yes.
He had a broken axle or something, right? Or a bearing, remember that? And we put his bike on the trailer.
Yeah. It was
and we took him back to camp, and we were asking him, where's the trails? And he's like, there ain't none, man. He's like, I was lied to as well. Those were literally his words, weren't they?
Right.
He's like, we were lied to as well. So anyways, Sylamore District, just avoid it at all cost. It's garbage. There's no trails there. We'll start with number 5 after that. Number 5, Mount Magazine. We all agree on that, right? Mount Magazine's number 5.
Yeah.
So Mount Magazine, how would you describe the trail at Mount Magazine, Matt? The terrain. How would you describe the terrain at Mount Magazine?
Beautiful scenery, for sure. But, you're not going to find too much technicality there, I would say.
Right.
But,
so family. More for family.
Yeah.
Younger, inexperienced riders. That's not to say it's not good. You like Mount Magazine.
It's good for lookouts.
Good for lookouts. As far as waterfalls, there's a couple, but you got to hike so far down to them. Waterfalls really not that great at Mount Magazine, but
if you want to mosey around on a side-by-side with your family, it's a great place.
Yeah,
You're gonna see some good stuff.
Or if you have younger guys, even dirt bikes, would you say that's a good place for dirt bikes somewhat?
Less experienced riders. Yeah.
Yeah. So where do we park at Mount Magazine? We park at the Sorghum Hollow Horse Camp. That's at the bottom of the mountain every time. You can park at the top. We like to park at the bottom because that's closer to most of the trails. When you get to the top, there's like 1 or 2 trails in to get to the other trails, and it's just really far away from the trails, it seems like. So we park at the bottom, Sorghum Hollow Horse Camp, and you're pretty much right on the trails when you park, and it's secure. So sites, must-see sites at Mount Magazine. 52 humps.
52 humps.
52 humps is good. Would you say 52 humps would be fun on a dirt bike, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you get some jump, right? Some air right there.
Yeah.
So, and once again, the terrain at Mount Magazine, it's more like smooth dirt, more manicured, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're on trails, you're in the woods, there's no gravel.
52 humps has claimed a couple victims.
Yes, it has. You know, 52 humps, it's not a problem going up it, right?
Right.
But it's
going
coming down. It's coming down that will really get you in trouble. 52 humps is really cool. Buzzard's Roost. Buzzard's Roost is really good. Remember the overlook there?
Yeah.
We went with Jesse Rose to the overlook. You went with us with Jesse Rose.
I did. That's where the rocks, the big rocks. And all,
the big rocks and all that. So Buzzard's Roost is really good. Also, there's a series of trails kind of close to Buzzard's Roost that faces the east, kind of back towards Mount Nebo, and those trails just keep hitting overlooks. Remember those trails? All along the way, they just keep hitting over. Like there's multiple overlooks on one little set of trails.
Yeah.
And they're really good overlooks. And then, of course, we got the overlook that Smith found. That's the best one at Magazine. Remember that?
I
where
agree.
You can kind of see like the landslide from across the way. That's a really good overlook. So if you're looking for overlooks and scenery, Mount Magazine is way up there on the list. They've got a lot of different overlook locations, and it's really family friendly. Great place to go ride.
I think, and we've been there twice, right?
We've been there more than that. We've been there several times.
Been there 3 at least.
At least 3
and
times.
I remember one time was pretty much winter time.
Oh man, it got cold that
And then
day.
the other time it was full on greenery. And it was very different looking.
Yeah.
I remember us not noticing. We were at the same place
Yeah.
at each times, and it looked very different. So
Right.
it was nice.
It was. So in other words, what you're saying is you could go down the exact same trail and it looked completely different, right?
Yeah.
And there's a couple of good creek crossings
Yeah.
at Mount Magazine. So we park at Sorghum Hollow Horse Camp. That's where we park every single time. Ride the trails. Where do we stay when we go to Mount Magazine? Where's the best place to stay?
Russellville.
Russellville, man. So if you're in an RV or a camper and you want an Airbnb and you want to ride directly from the trails, that's not us. We're not those guys. We like to go back, get a hot shower in a nice hotel, and go out to eat. We just don't like to pack all this food, and there's just a lot of work involved in that.
Long day of riding.
A long day of riding. The last thing that because we make full days out of this thing. Like we're not really focused necessarily on the amount of miles we do, but we're on the trails by 8 or 9 o'clock, and we're off the trails by 5 or 6 o'clock. So we have a full day of riding. We get back, we're ready for some Chili's or brick oven pizza. Russellville is the closest decent town in proximity to Mount Magazine. We recommend staying there. The Fairfield Inn and Suites is awesome there. It's been good to us. So Mount Magazine, if you have a family, if you have inexperienced riders, if you like overlooks, definitely top notch. It's a great place. Even though it's the farthest down other than crap Sylamore district, it is a great place to ride. Definitely. Wonderful place to ride. So we'll move on to number 4. Number 4, Mill Creek. We're going to talk about Mill Creek. And this one, I expect controversy on this one because you see on the forums so many people like Mill Creek. But what I think that is its proximity to Fayetteville, which is nice. But the trails there are just so crowded. If you go on a Saturday in the fall, man, or the spring especially, man, especially the actual Mill Creek trail system. By the way, I want to address that too real quick. When we speak about Mill Creek or Moccasin Gap or Mount Magazine, we're talking about the immediate trail system, like there's 4 loops or whatever at Mill Creek and Moccasin Gap, whatever. But there's also trails all around it. Like you'll hear terms on Facebook like Birds Adventure Center, Mulberry Mountain. That's all the same thing to us. That's all Mill Creek to us. It's so close in proximity. We just call it Mill Creek or Mulberry Mountain. It's all the same. Mulberry Mountain's literally across the highway from Mill Creek. But I really feel like that's the deal. The population of Fayetteville is so massive in the surrounding area. A lot of people don't want to drive further. So they just rank Mill Creek at the number 1 place because that's the only place they ever really go. That's what I think. And there's more people that go to Mill Creek. You remember several times that we've been to Mill Creek where we always park at Mulberry Mountain. That's one thing. To us, that's the best place to park, Mulberry Mountain.
Yeah.
But multiple times that we've went to Mill Creek, when we get to the actual Mill Creek parking lot, there's just like hundreds of cars there, hundreds of trucks and side by sides, and the trails. You're riding on the trails, and you think you're doing good, and then here comes a line of 30 side by sides that you have to go around, and it's a total pain. So it's just overcrowded. But there are some sites to see at Mill Creek. One site that comes to mind is the Overlook in the Mill Creek trail system. Remember where we seen Casey ATV up there?
Yep.
That was a nice overlook. They got a really nice overlook up there.
Yeah.
60-foot falls is the best thing there to me. 60. Remember we go down in the slough, kind of down low. It's behind Mulberry Mountain. 60-foot falls is legit, good waterfall, especially if you catch it after a rain, right? That's another thing you have to remember. A lot of these places, if you don't go right after a rain, like if you go in the middle of summer, the waterfalls, there won't be anything but a trickle coming down them. But if you go in the spring or the fall, especially after a rain, man, they're spectacular. 60-foot falls was spectacular the few times we've went.
Yeah.
It was a really good one. And remember we climbed up on top and it had like a log flume. You were throwing logs down it, and that was pretty cool. So Mill Creek, number 4 on the list for us. I don't know, it's just, and there are a couple good trails that are sketchy. That one trail at the end of it, specifically where you're coming down, man, that's a good one. That's a real good one. Real technical. Even the trails down to 60-foot falls are pretty good. They're pretty good. The actual Mill Creek trails within the Mill Creek trail system,
There's not enough.
So.
there's not enough of them. Yeah, there's not enough of them. They're just so.
Even the ones at the Outlook, I remember there being a lot of different trails
Yeah.
to get you to the same place, but they were just very short.
Yeah. I will say this. That brings me to another technical trail. Remember the trail that we took immediately after the Overlook where we went down? That was treacherous as can be. And Casey ATV was with us where we actually met him down at the bottom of that. And there was a waterfall down there too. So if you know where the Overlook is around the Mill Creek area, there is a trail that will take you back towards Mulberry Mountain. And that is a treacherous trail. Remember how one of his crew made it and the rest of us didn't really have, or one of his crew didn't make it, he had to winch, but the rest of us made it, but it was tough.
Yeah.
It was really tough.
Yeah, big boulders.
Big
We
boulders
took
and
our time.
rocks. Yeah, like really sketchy trail. So there's some good at Mill Creek, but, and it is to me better than Mount Magazine just because it's got some of those technical
it's
trails.
Better than Magazine.
Yeah, definitely bigger than Magazine. But at the same time, there's no comparison to the other 3 trail systems that we're going to talk about
Agreed.
on the list. So 2 and 3 is kind of a tie for us. So I feel like Brock Creek is number 2 for me, but I think Josh and Matt think that Buckhorn. Buckhorn is number 2 for you?
Yeah.
Okay,
Buckhorn's
so
number 2.
we'll talk about Brock Creek first, then we'll talk about Buckhorn. So we'll talk about Brock Creek. To us, it's kind of a split. Like I would put Brock Creek number 2 and Buckhorn number 3, but they would put Buckhorn number 2 and Brock Creek number 3. But we'll talk about Brock Creek a little bit. Brock Creek, I like it. I have an appreciation for it just because there's nobody else that goes there. I mean, Bobby Bullet Lewis goes there.
It's pretty empty.
Yeah, there's just not that many people that go there. The trails aren't manicured. They're not huge and wide and wallered out by side-by-sides, overrun with traffic. If you're a dirt bike rider, there's single track trails there. Some of the only single tracks trails in Arkansas. We've actually been on some in our 4-wheeler by accident. Tornado came through there, blew a bunch of trees down. We kind of got back in there and that was crazy. But yeah, Brock Creek is awesome. Brock Creek, you're not going to see hardly any overlooks. There's almost no overlooks at Brock Creek. But what they do have, and this is one of the reasons I like it, waterfalls. They have epic water. In fact, to me, the best waterfalls in the state are around the Brock Creek area. So you've got John Mountain Falls, the big one, that's like 80 feet or something like that. You got Schoolhouse Falls.
Is that where that Victoria thing?
Victoria's Secret is there. Yeah, that was cool. The Little Red River where we crossed that, and the cabin up on top. I mean, all those things. But besides that, the Brock Creek trails themselves within the Brock Creek trail system, like the legit trails, not the surrounding ones, they're fantastic. Like the trails within Brock Creek, you'll get lost if you don't have a map. Even with a map, you'll get lost. Like there are so many of them.
And it's because they're not manicured. They're logging a lot.
Yeah,
it is easy
and
to
water.
lose it. And
you got the
water.
lake there and the dam, and it just, the terrain is so different. You'll be in a creek one minute, you'll be climbing technical stuff and mud holes the next minute. Remember the area on top of one of those mountains that there's like huge pine trees, just randomly, like you're coming up out of a trail and there's like giant pine trees everywhere. You don't remember that? Well, it's a great spot.
I can't remember.
I just remember saying,
Everything.
you were saying, man, I like these pine trees, you know? But anyways, there's just so many different terrains at Brock Creek, and that's why I like it so much. Now, when it comes to where to park, the Brock Creek campground just across the dam, to us, that's the only place to park. I mean, you could park at like Zing Trailhead up the road or some of those other places, but just park at the campground. Like that's the best place to park.
Free.
It's free. You don't have to
Never
pay
had
anything.
anybody vandalize or take our stuff.
Nope, never had. That's another thing with Mill Creek too. Mill Creek, I can't tell you how many guys I've talked to, trailer stolen, trailer stolen, trailer stolen. We've never had an issue, but that's just another kind of downside to Mill Creek in our opinion.
And what does Mill Creek cost us?
Mill
I don't
Creek,
think we talked about that.
well, that's a good point. So we park at Mulberry Mountain and it costs us $5. Is it $5 for the whole group of us? Per person.
Yeah.
It's per person. But we always park at Mulberry Mountain and it's clean. It's a nice place to park.
Bathrooms.
The one thing I'll say about the bathrooms, they're clean and they're nice and the campground is top notch.
Yeah.
But it's crowded. It's very crowded.
It's
Even the
crowded
bathrooms.
every time we've been there.
Every time we've ever been to Mill Creek, which we're referring to Mulberry Mountain, we took a step back if you're not following along. We're back on Mill Creek now. Mulberry Mountain, Mill Creek, same thing, Birds Adventure Center. Mulberry Mountain is like, it's on top of a mountain. It's across, the trail system's all around it. It's just this piece of property. You can camp there, you can RV there. If you've got an RV, if you want to park on the trails, that's the place to go. Like that or Birds. Birds is the same thing. But Mulberry Mountain, the bathrooms are top notch. They take care of them. They're clean, but they are crowded. Man, they're crowded. I mean, we went in there just to take a leak before the ride one day, and it seemed like it took us 30 minutes just to take a leak. You know, it's very crowded, but it's a great place to park. $5 a head. Brock Creek, you pay nothing. You don't have to pay nothing. You just pull out there and park. Obviously, you're not going to have the security that you do at Mulberry, you know.
But when we park, I mean, how many people have been there?
There's nobody there. There's nobody there,
Maybe
man.
2 at the max?
Yeah. Like that one time we met some guys from like Wisconsin or something, dirt biking. That single track. They were single tracking. But yeah, Brock Creek is, to me, it's awesome. And all the trails are just so different. Great waterfalls, if you know where to find them. Great waterfalls. They're everywhere. So we'll transition to, where do you spend the night if you're staying at Brock Creek? Where would you spend the night? Not really a good spot.
You could either go Conway or Russellville.
Conway or Russellville.
They're
and then
both probably.
there is one nice.
Morrilton.
Morrilton's got one nice hotel, does it not?
I've never stayed in
I think
Morrilton,
we've never
so-
stayed there. We've never stayed there. Russellville or Conway would be your best option if you're going to Brock Creek. Morrilton really doesn't have any good restaurants. You know, it does. I will say this: we have utilized the shower system at, what is it, a Pilot or a Love's?
Love's.
It's a Love's. So that's a little quick tip for you. If you get dirty and nasty and you need to drive all the way home,
Yeah, if you're doing a day ride.
yeah, if you're doing just a day ride at Brock Creek, man, pay that $12 at the Love's, get you a shower. It's a 30-minute drive. You've got to go back that way usually anyways, depending on where you're from. To get back to the interstate, you got to go back to Morrilton, and there's a Love's there. So we have definitely utilized that. That way you don't have to ride home with mud and sweat and all that crap on you. So anyways, Brock Creek, number 3-2 for me, number 3 for those guys. We'll go ahead and step into Buckhorn. Let's talk about Buckhorn a little bit. Now Buckhorn the trail system there, that's as far away as it gets for us in Arkansas. And it's rated high on the list for good reason. First of all, we park, there's 2 separate loops, I believe. I'm just trying to freeball this off the top of my head. I think there's like a river that runs down the middle of Buckhorn, and then there's a trail system on the west side, there's a trail system on the east side. We park on, I believe, the west side of the river, whichever parking lot that is. It's not the blue loop. I think it's the yellow loop. I don't know. I could be misquoting that, but regardless, that's where we park. We stay in Fayetteville because it's like, what, a 45-minute drive? I mean, it's not bad.
It might even be only 30, 35.
Yeah, something like that.
Depending on what side of Fayetteville you're staying.
I keep skipping over that too. Mill Creek. Where do we stay when we stay at Mill Creek? Stay at Fayetteville.
Yeah.
And we drive through Cass and
Elkins.
and Fayetteville is awesome. We go over there for Razorback games all the time in the fall anyways. So we're familiar with Fayetteville, and there's some great hotels there. Any place you'd ever want to eat is there. Chewy's specifically. We love Chewy's.
Bonefish Grill.
Bonefish Grill. Yeah, tons of Grubs. We got to throw Grubs in there. Grubs downtown.
Dixon Street.
Dixon Street. Hit that up. So that is one plus to Mill Creek. We love being able to stay at Fayetteville. But we stay at Fayetteville when we go to Buckhorn too, because it's just on the other side of the interstate.
Buckhorn's a much easier drive.
Buckhorn's an easy
Coming
drive.
from
Good
Fayetteville.
point. Good point.
And Mill Creek is between 45 and an hour, right?
Yeah, Mill Creek is a little bit further, I think.
Fayetteville?
I
Yeah.
think it is.
Curvy 2-lane roads.
What do we go to West Fork? We get off the exit.
Get off at the West Fork with the Harps. If you're
Yeah.
going south, you make a right.
Yeah, so that's what we typically do. Like, if we're staying in Fayetteville, go south on the interstate, stop in at the Harps at West Fork, load up the coolers. We love the Harps. You guys see our videos, you know we love the Harps. Get gas, and then head to Buckhorn. Now, Buckhorn, what's some of your favorite things at Buckhorn, Matt? How would you describe the terrain there, your favorite stuff?
I think you have a little bit of everything. You know, some mountainous terrain, or at least some hill climbs,
Technical.
and then some
Yeah.
technical. We get down to the bottom side where the blue loop or the purple loop where we got separated by the river.
Yes, yes.
And you've got a little bit of bottoms ground, I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah, absolutely.
Very well groomed.
Yeah, very well groomed. It is rough.
It's marked well.
It's marked very well, and I'm glad you brought that up. It is rough. So I've had other people tell me they call it Rockhorn because it's so rocky. But man, there is some great technical trails there. The first one that comes to my mind is the trail when we're at the bottom of that kind of canyon, and there's like a stream running through it. And man, we had to do that one at a time going up because it was so steep. And when you're already going up a steep incline trail and you're having to hit rocks and lean back, man, that's tough. And that's what we like. We love a challenge. That's what we're all about. We like to get to the end of the trail and think, man, we've done something. We accomplished something. We made it through that trail. Not everybody could make it through that trail. That's kind of what we're all about. And I think that's where the love for Buckhorn is.
Yeah.
Plus the river is awesome there.
Yeah.
That river's sweet. It's a clean
Unfortunately,
river.
we haven't been able to pass it.
It was
No,
a little high at the time.
Every time we go there, the river is so doggone high and it's running so swift, it just scares the crap out of us to cross it.
Yeah.
And that's rare for us because where we're from, we're used to going through really deep water holes because we're kind of in the bottoms of Arkansas where we ride sloughs and rivers and stuff like that. So going into deep water is really nothing new to us. But man, when you add that current in on that sucker, that's a raging river right there, man.
So really, because of that, we haven't rode that other trail system.
Yeah, we haven't even been on that other side. We spend so much time on the west side of Buckhorn. We love that area. I mean, it's awesome. All the trails are really aggressive. And then the creek that we do cross multiple times is a really good one too.
Yeah.
It's raging pretty good. Remember when we had to cross that?
Yeah.
That was really good. So man, Buckhorn, it's top notch.
And what does it cost us at Buckhorn?
Well, it costs, we put $3 in for the vehicle to park there, but it is voluntary. I did find that out. Someone informed me of that. If you'll read the sign, it tells you that's voluntary donations. So we put the $3 in. It's just $3, and we appreciate being able to park there.
Yeah.
Security hasn't ever been an issue. I have actually heard of a couple people getting their trailers swiped there, but every time we went there, even though we have seen quite a few people there, we don't hardly run into anybody on the trails.
No.
There's so many trails there, and there a lot of them are pretty treacherous. or rocky, you know, rough. So I don't know where everybody else is going, but man, that west side of Buckhorn is just fantastic.
Yeah.
It is really good. So we like it. We always stay at Fayetteville, stay in a hotel. That's about all I got for Buckhorn. I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
So number one, and then if you've watched any of our videos, this is going to come to zero surprise to anyone that's watched our videos, because we've said it time and time and time again. Number one place in Arkansas to ride.
Max Pines.
Max Pines, baby. Max Pines. You'll hear multiple people, you know, multiple different names for it. Max Pines, Moccasin Gap. It's the same thing to us. Max Pines is a little 3-acre piece of property right across the street from Moccasin Gap. So if that helps anybody that's doing research, the one thing about Max Pines is you can get a really good burger and fries there. Really good burger and fries. He cooks a good breakfast. You can camp there. He's got RV hookups, and he's got cabins that you can rent. So if you're looking at this video and you're thinking, where do I stay when I go to Max Pines? If you're that RV person, if you're the person that likes to camp, if you're the person that likes to ride directly from your cabin to the trails, don't look anywhere else. Max Pines is where it's at. There's a couple of these little Airbnbs around. I don't have any experience with those, neither do these guys. Max Pines is an awesome place to stay. It's affordable. His cabins are affordable. The electric's going off. Wow, okay. But yeah, Max Pines, fantastic. Fantastic place to stay. I have personally camped there multiple times in a tent. Cook, you know, we got a fire there. We don't bring food to cook. We just go over and let Greg cook us up a burger and fries. That's been fantastic. But lately, we've been staying in Russellville. We just love staying in a hotel in Russellville. Something about, you know, the comforts of a hotel room. That's another thing. At Max Pines, you can take a shower there. He does have a shower house if you're staying there. Or you can just park there. If you're just coming up just to park for the day, it's $5, isn't it? Or is it $5 per person?
No, I think it's 5 for the group.
5 for the group.
I think so.
$5 for the group. So it's cheap and it's secure. You never hear of a problem there. And man, he sells a lot of those parking passes, and you can go literally right across the highway and you're on the Moccasin Gap trails. Or you can go right behind Max Pines and you're on the trails. You can go all over the place and you're on the trails there, which is one of the reasons we like it. But Max Pines, can't say enough good things about the actual campground itself. Also, there's another campground up the road. It's the Moccasin Gap campground. I know KC ATV camps up there a lot. That's where we park. We used to park a lot at Max Pines, but we've never had an issue parking at Moccasin Gap right up the highway at that campsite. Nobody else parks there. It's crazy. Like, every time we go there, it is so rare. Like, we've maybe been there twice that somebody else was parking there. Like, it just doesn't happen. So yeah, we like, that's what we like to do when we go to Max Pines. We like to stay in a hotel in Russellville. We'll eat at Chewy's. Brick Oven Pizza's really good there. Not Chewy's, I'm sorry. Not Chewy's.
Chili's.
Excuse me. Chili's.
Starts with a C.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the trails. Why do we like the Max Pines trails so much?
The diversity. I mean, you're going to see a little bit of everything.
Everything.
Creek crossings.
River crossing.
Yeah. Logged areas where it's wide open, and then, you know, the climbing and the rock areas
Waterfalls,
that we see.
overlooks.
Yep. Everything. It's got a natural bridge there, for goodness sakes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, where else in Arkansas are you going to find that?
Some technical trails.
Lots of technical trails
Lots.
to me.
Yeah, lots.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You know, the actual Moccasin Gap trail system, I think there's 4 loops there too. I guess you could take an inexperienced rider there, but there's going to be some sketchy spots, man. Yeah. We know that. Even on the Moccasin Gap trail system, there's some sketchy spots.
Yeah.
But multiple waterfalls within that trail system. Shoot, man, there's just so many good things to see. So what's the number one thing that you like to see at Max Pines, Josh? What's like the one thing? If you're going to take someone that's never been to Max Pines, and you're going to show them just one thing, what's it going to be?
What's that one where you can go out on the rocks? And
Buzzard's Roost?
Yeah.
Buzzard Roost, that you take them to Buzzard Roost?
That or the natural bridge.
That or the natural bridge. So Buzzard Roost or the natural bridge. What about you, Matt? If you could take somebody to Max Pines that's never been there, and they say, you can take me to one spot, but that's it, where would you take them?
Big Piney.
Big Piney River.
Yeah, that's
Big Piney
cool.
River, that'd be good. I would take them to Pilot Rock just because it's like you're on top of the world, man. I mean, you can see for miles. You can actually see Russellville, the nuclear power plant.
Lake Dardanelle.
Lake Dardanelle. You can see so much from Pilot Rock and Pilot Knob. Pilot Knob. I mean, that's where we like to go. Pilot Knob.
Yeah.
It's kind of a climb and sketchy rattlesnakes up there, but but yeah, Max Pines, just the diversity, and it's like the trails never end. Every time we go there, we find new trails.
Yeah,
Every
you
time.
can ride 100 miles in a day or close to 100 miles in a day and not see
not see the same
even
trail
half
again.
of all the trails.
Yeah, not even close. I mean, you could, I dare say you could spend a week there and not see every trail. I mean, and technically, to clear this up a little bit, you can ride from Max Pines or Mill Creek. You can ride from there all the way to Brock Creek, and we've done that. Or you could go west and you could ride all the way to Mill Creek.
Yeah.
You could go to Brock Creek or you could go to Mill Creek. So now that's a long haul, and if you're a side-by-side rider, you probably would like that because you're going to do a lot of gravel and highway in between. We like to try to find ways to get to those points via trail. We don't like leaving the trail. Now, sometimes you have to. That's just part of it. But the trails just keep going. A lot of times when we go, we will go either the east side of Max Pines or the west side of Max Pines. Like we'll spend a day on the east side, and then the very next day we're going the opposite direction because we want to see a little bit of everything. We just like the diversity, and it seems like no matter how many times you go to the Big Piney or Pilot Rock, it's just awesome. I mean,
beautiful.
you just go every time. It's just awesome. So that's our number one. We just love it. We love Max Pines. So once again, these are our personal opinions. Everyone has a different opinion on their favorite place to ride in Arkansas, depending on their riding style. Our riding style is we like to get lost. We don't like to see other people on the trails. We don't mind seeing other people. We like to get so far away that you don't see people. That's the thing. We like seeing Chris and Angela, didn't we?
Yeah.
We met them on the trails. That was cool. Some people that watch YouTube from Memphis, Chris and Angela.
Good
Shout out to
fans.
them. Good
Yep.
fans, faithful subscribers. We love our subscribers, especially Chris and Angela.
Absolutely.
So anyways, we just love rugged terrain that will get you lost, and you just get to see all those different sites. We're just not into gravel road cruising. You know, we'd stay here if that's what we were about. And if you like that type of thing, man, there's some great gravel roads that have scenery. Sylamore District, hit that up.
To each their own.
Yeah, to each their own.
you can actually reach Pilot Rock or
Yeah. That's another thing. You could take a Ford Escort to Pilot Rock
could.
if you wanted to. You have to take gravel to get to that. There's no getting around it.
Yeah.
But there's trails all around it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you can take a number of trails to get there. So yeah, really, really good place to ride. That's why it's our number one place. All the aforementioned trail systems are great, other than Sylamore District. We like them all. But it's Max Pines for us. Max Pines is the number one place for us. But I would encourage you, if you've been to Max Pines, go to Buckhorn, go to Brock Creek, man. Try Mill Creek or Mount Magazine. They're great. They're really good. So anyways, hope that helps you guys out. If you're listening to this video or watching this video, like, subscribe. We seriously appreciate the support. We're just doing this for fun, honestly. We like to go back and look where we've ridden, and it's just a good time. We just have a good time doing it. So anyways, Miller's Off-Road out. We'll see you guys on the next one. We got more rides coming up. Stay tuned.